up there to see the scene of this accident. And it was at an intersection where a state highway, M50, made a 90-degree turn. And the east-west road was, had the right-of-way, north stop, and a stop sign. And one of the people who is a friend of our daughter's grew up just a few miles north of this intersection. And when my daughter talked with Lisa Posthumous Lyons, Lisa says, it's a horrible intersection. There's bad accidents happen there all the time. And so that's one of the reasons my wife and I went up there. I felt like it had been left undone for way too long, and somebody needed to get involved and try to get the thing changed. And I told Heather this morning. There's an old gas station that a couple turned into a home that sat right at the southeast corner of this intersection. I mean, literally, their parking lot was right between the road and the house. They had no front yard whatsoever. That's where we parked. We sat there for about an hour, talked with this lady. She was the one who called 911 to report the accident. She broke down and cried as we sat there and talked with her. The 911 people asked her to go out and look in the vehicle and see what the condition was of the people that were in it. There was one already dead and another one in the process of dying, and the third one who was in terribly bad shape. She says, accidents happen there almost monthly at this intersection, and nobody will do anything about it. So I came home and called our state rep, Andrew Fink. I met with him, took a map, showed him where this intersection was. I said, my wife and I sat there for an hour. Traffic is heavy truck traffic. This was in the middle of the day, not even a rush hour. All kinds of traffic. He contacted the state rep from that area, and together they contacted the people at the Department of Transportation. And shortly after that accident happened on September the 12th, 2022. And sometime in early January, the state posted that as a four-way stop. And in March of 22, when we went to the road conference in Lansing, the safety director from Kent County, who I had called after we had been up there, and his initial reaction was, you know, it's a state highway, we can't change it. I said, I understand you can't change it, but you could make some noise. That's the very least you could do. You know, the next time around, it might be some of your friends that get killed at that intersection instead of mine. So he looked me up at the road conference. He says, I've never seen the state respond so quickly. He says, what did you do? I told him what I did. The things I just told you. So I'm bringing this up because I think as a road commissioner, we have responsibilities to bring things like this to people's attention, to bring about positive change. It's too easy to just sit idly still, say, well, somebody else's responsibility, there's nothing I can do about it. That's wrong. Thank you for the supervisor from Allen for bringing up the situation he did. That was wrong, what happened out there. And so I want to bring up something here that I feel passionate about, that we talked about doing something about a couple of years ago, and nothing's been done. And that is that we talked about putting up flashing lights at the intersection of M99 and Territorial Road, and also at M49 and Territorial Road. At M99 and Territorial Road, 2 or 3 years ago, there were two guys from the Toledo area who were driving west in a box truck, ran that stop sign and got creamed by a semi, and they both died at the scene. And then not too long after that, there was a semi ran that same stop sign, and a man from Pioneer, he survived the accident, but if he'd have been a split second slower, he would have gotten killed. And I've heard somebody say, well, it's not a state highway, and we can't do anything about it. Well, Territorial Road is not a state highway. It's heavily traveled, especially in the spring, summer, and fall by all the lake people. We do have rumble strips there, that helps, but both of those accidents happened after the rumble strips were put in. So, you know, it's people from outside of the area who are not familiar with it. And I think that flashing lights at both of those stop signs at both of those intersections would be a good investment. And so I'm hoping that's something that we can do ourselves, or if we have to get state approval to do it, do what it takes to get approval.
That's what we're gonna get state approval for this in state right away, but, once we get it, we might even be able to get a safety fund, but it should be MDOT doing it. Yeah.
And we got approval for, we got approval for a safety project for, I believe it's 2026. It's not flashing lights, but it is flashing signs.
Well, that's what I
stop
meant.
signs.
That's what I meant. The flashing lights around the stop sign.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking
Okay.
about. I think you and I are talking about the same thing.
Okay, and I would have to look, because it was several different intersections within the county, but I would have to look and see if Territorial Road got added to that. But we did get approved to do that. We got the funding for it.
But that's still 2 years away.
Yeah, right. But, I will get with you afterwards and let you know those intersections. Cause I'm looking for it in my email and I can't find where I sent it.
What about Mellons Road? Mellons and North Adams.
That could have been one. I cannot remember.
That's a dangerous one too.
People killed there over
Mhm.
the years. And we need to,
Yeah, that one's bad.
we need to trim on the southwest corner, the brush along there. I mean, trim them. Cause you pull up there and then you gotta pull them a little bit more, and the next thing you know, there's a car coming from the south,
Mm-hmm.
about 70. Which the county road commission is a law enforcement agency, but still you gotta watch it there.
Okay. Public comment?
Two left.
Yeah, we got two now. Go ahead.
As long as you're talking about that, I would ask that maybe you add 49 at Bankers Road. Because Bankers Road going east there by the church, I go to church there. And you come out the door, cars fly by there going east.
Yeah.
And I know you've got stop ahead signs there, but something needs to wake people up because they fly by there 60 miles an hour. And then especially if the road's raining or something, you got a big downhill grade, it'd be hard to stop. So that's just one other intersection I know about that might be something worth looking at or putting on the list if possible. That's the one thing I had to say.
The intersections are Bear Lake at South Hillsdale Road, Lake Wilson at Hallett, Squawfield at Waldron, South Hillsdale at Territorial, Camden at Waldron, and Meade at Territorial. Those are the ones, because when we do this particular project, there has to be K or A, which K is a fatal and A is a serious injury. There has to be that crash at the project location for it, because they put it into what they call a time of return, a TOR value, and it goes into a spreadsheet that calculates a formula out, and it gives you like your time of return. So the lower your time of return is, the better chance they're going to give you your funding. So if it doesn't have a K and A, and it's just near misses, doesn't count. Somebody has to get seriously injured before.
Well,
The
at
safety
the
project will
Bankers
be
and 49, there have been people died at that
Right.
intersection, and they
Yep.
have at Territorial and Waldron.
Yeah,
Yes.
I can think of 6 at Millings North End,
Wow.
but that's over a period of.
Yeah.
And they only look at 5 years, I think,
right,
the last
we're
5 years.
talking Around 30, 40 years.
Right.
Alan,
I just wanna make a couple comments about Bankers Road. I was under the understanding that that was gonna be fog coated before they painted the yellow lines, the center lines. Well, they've already painted the center lines, so you're gonna come in and fog coat it, then you're gonna have to paint the lines again. I'm just making a comment. And the other thing, that's from 49 to the county line, end of and then on the east side of 49, if you look at Bankers Road, the rumble strip in the center, did they just grind them? Because that center between 49 and, I'm gonna say Sand Lake, is just falling apart. So you're gonna probably have some future problems here. The other thing is, Mike, we need you to attend our meetings. You haven't been there in quite a while. The citizens are asking for you to be there. They
All right.
wanna talk to you. So
All right.
our next meeting is October the 14th. Hope
All
to
right.
see you. Thank you.
Sure.
yes, go ahead.
From the section from 49 to the county line, what happened there, that was a fresh chip seal that we had done.
Yep.
And the company that does the center line grindings cannot grind without a mark. So they called their pavement marking people down and just put a regular waterborne mark down through there. It's not the wet reflective paint, it's not the finished paint. They just put that down there, but they had to put it with the appropriate passing lanes and all that stuff. But that was meant just for a marking for them to be able to do the center line grinding. And then we will come back in when they come back in a couple of weeks, and we will paint the actual wet reflective in there. So that will get repainted. That was just for them to have something to go by. And then the east section, unfortunately, like he just said too, when we do these safety grants, we apply, they do a call like for 2 or 3 years in the future. So when we applied for this, it was like 2021. So Bankers, Territorial, Moscow were in better shape. Okay, Bankers, we realized, has fallen apart because we just did that asphalt, that new asphalt. But you don't have a crystal ball to see what the condition of the road is gonna be like, and unfortunately, it's not the greatest candidate for a center line joint or recessed edge lines, but it was approved back in 2021 or whatever. To use that funding, you can't just change the project, or you can't just switch to a different road, because all those calculations for the crashes went into it, and that's why MDOT approved it, was because of those crashes on those roads. So it sucks because it's bad timing, but we're just gonna have to deal with that. We're dealing with that with the edges too, because a lot of our edges are not in good shape, and we were supposed to have, we were looking into having like the rumble strips on the edges of the road too, especially for Bankers, because that's where the majority of the crashes are for people going off the road, not crossing the center of the road. But the edges weren't, it didn't make sense to do the edges at that time because they were gonna be in such bad shape, and you're gonna have more maintenance to deal with after the fact. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it doesn't completely break apart, but we are well aware that that's something that we just have to deal with now. So hopefully that kind of helped answer your question.
That being said, I don't know if we got one, I think we did get a call at the office about a lady about the rumble sticks.
Yes.
She called.
Okay.
They're too noisy.
Yes. That was her complaint. That was her complaint, yes.
I mean, she was dead serious.
Yeah. Well,
I haven't filled in.
and I sent her the response that I emailed all you guys, and then she sent me a very, very long response back, and I understand her concerns. She's looking at the intersection at Bankers and Sand Lake, and that is it. And unfortunately, when we did this project, it was several roads all together. You put the crashes together, and for Bankers Road, if we would have put shoulder rumble strips or edgeline rumble strips down, it would have reduced the crashes by 20%. But by doing the center line rumble strips on like Moscow and Territorial, it reduced the crashes by 43%, according to their calculated formulas. So that's why I said, I understand that the shoulder rumble strips would have been better on, Bankers Road, but it had to be moved because the edges weren't in that good a shape, and she's just looking at her intersection.
Yeah.
And I realized that, yeah, that's a bad curves and people run off the road there, but we tried. We tried to assess the safety of these roads, did a fix. You're not gonna make everybody happy. It's unfortunate that it is loud,
Did she
but
understand after you explained that?
no.
Well, she said, you don't understand how much noise this is.
Right.
And I said, trust me, I do. I'm on Hudson Road.
Yes. And I tried to
And it's got a
explain to
lot of
her,
traffic.
I tried to explain to her that, you know, that's, it, my opinion, it's the least of my worries. If it saves one person from falling asleep and hitting somebody head on, it's worth all the noise in the world.
Right.
So, but
Yeah,
she wanted to be heard for her specific intersection, and I understand. But it just, there's nothing that we can do about it. It is what it is.
Is it an intersection of two roads or just where her driveway?
No, it's intersection to roads. And they gapped that intersection out.
Well, I was gonna say, because I know I was on Moscow Road and they didn't do the rumble strip all the way to the intersection.
Right.
Well, Moscow Road, the reason they didn't do it there is because spec is that they can only be done in 55-mile-an-hour zones or more. So like the village of Moscow, they did not do it.
Okay, that,
From the city of
okay,
Hillsdale to Cambria Road, they did
Okay.
not do it because it's a reduced speed.
okay.
So it's only 55-mile-an-hour or greater that they put these rumble strips in.
So for her intersection, it's closer to the intersection because
Must
there
be.
isn't a reduced.
Correct.
Okay, all right,
Correct.
I see.
I drove
Okay.
Bankers Road last Tuesday night from 49 to Lake Wilson Road.
Mhm.
As long as you stayed in your lane,
Right.
you didn't make no noise.
And I think on that intersection, maybe they're cutting the curve.
Right.
But yeah,
That explains why there's no rumble strips through the Hemlock curve.
exactly.
And, Darren Spieth lives on a curve, and his mailbox has been hit 4 times since I've been out here. The reason I know, because I'm the guy that replaces it.
And for any commercial places, they gap it out too. Like if you drive Bankers Road by the golf course,
Yep.
there's no grindings there by the golf
I
course.
need to talk to the state then, mine's commercial.
Sorry, you must have been after
You're
the
on,
fact.
you're
I don't
on
know.
Skate Road, so.
Yeah.
That's
you
right.
gotta- You gotta deal with that. I've got an attaboy.
Yeah.
Good job.
Right.
Lake Pleasant and State Street, the intersection. They went in there and ground that back, the brush and everything. Wonderful job. You can see now.
Lake Pleasant and State.
Lake Pleasant State, they did a heck of a good job there.
Well, I have one too. So a month ago, I went to the Woodbridge Township Board meeting on a Thursday evening. And one of the township officials told about the bunch of trees on the north side of Montgomery Road, just east of the new bridge there at Woodbridge in Montgomery. And I reported that the following Monday. And within a week, all of those trees had been cut. Because they were hanging pretty bad, pretty low over the road.
Cut or trimmed?
They had been cut because these trees were, you know, it was a soft, mucky area. You know, just trimming them wasn't gonna do the job. They needed to be cut.
I had a resident of Sand Lake Road contact me. There's a lot of tree cutting going on from Bean Road south. And I said, that's not the county road commission, to my knowledge. Come to find out, it's Consumers Energy.
They have a tree project going on right now.
Yeah. Well, they got in trouble because they started cutting trees they weren't supposed to. And they went into people's yards and started cutting trees, and they shut the project down.
Oh, no.
According to this resident that told me about it. But he wanted me to ask if there was anything the road commission could do, and I said, no, I don't think so, because the Consumers Energy has the right to do it within the county right of way, or even out of the county right of way. But, yeah, they were supposed to put underground electrical service down through there. And they were supposed to plow it in, but they were cutting the trees so they could open trench it. And then the grant that they got said that they were supposed to plow it in, now we can drench it, so the project manager shut the project down, they're gonna get somebody else in there.
Any more public comment? Nobody? No, nothing? All right, if nothing else, we can stay in the job. Thank you.